As you see in the title of the video, this video is titled "How to Increase the Speed of Your Retires." So you won't really necessarily see me be doing the retire today, but what I wanted to do was come to you and just be consistent. So I haven't been live in a couple of days, but I did promise a few people that I would give them a few tips when it came to retightening the sister locks or locks a little bit quicker. So, is there like a method to the madness? So, meaning like a tip I actually could give you that's going to be the end all be all? That's going to be no. Just actually move a little bit faster than others, but over time, we all can increase speed based off of some of the things that we do. Okay. And I'm going to go over some of these tips here with us today so that we can all be on the same page. Okay. So some of the things that I like to do is a rhythm, okay? And I like to time myself. What that means is that when I am doing reties, I typically listen to music. So a lot of people ask, why don't I watch or look at movies or watch TV? That's because I am traditionally doing my retightments. I am normally using the music as a rhythm that I go by, okay? Another thing to or tip number two would be to make sure that you have everything taken care of prior to starting. What that means is that for me, I like to apply the hair into small subsections, just so that I know generally like the areas that I'm putting into my main sections or sectionings of when my first establishments, make sure that those parts I pay close attention to. But the next thing that I do is actually divide that into subsections, just so that they can be much smaller and it's easier for my brain to, digest. Okay. For neatness, I love to start in the back, but at the same time, starting in the same place every time that you start, I do a foundation to kind of like, move your tool a little bit more freely and you already know where you're going to go at, especially if your mind is a very clustered mind and you find yourself overthinking a lot about the process. It's just going to be easy to flow at the nape and then just continue your way up, okay? And the way that you start is the way that you're going to do every single client so that you don't have to start thinking about where you're going to go next. You already know. Because every second that you to think, to answer a phone, to talk, those things actually start to add up over time. If it takes you 2 minutes to decide exactly where you're going to be at with all these sections, you're going to be wasting 20 minutes just on thinking about where you want to go at next and why you want to go to that section. Or for some people, jumping around. When I start one section, I move through that section until that section is completed. And I always make sure that I have to put my hair into once I am done. So, meaning if you're working from the bottom up, I have all the hair up and I drop as I come down. If I'm working going the opposite way, I'm going to have the clip, stationed here at the top, and then as I retighten, I add them to the clip. So either which way you choose to go is not really an issue, but just have your way that you're going to go and have it routine and pattern. So meaning that you're not thinking about what you're going to do with the next. You're not fumbling around to figure out which locks you've already done. You already know precisely if they are in the clip, they are either done or not done. Okay. To me, that is the easiest thing to do to help reduce time. The next, aside from having my music on and having my hair inside the subsections, is I barely really talk when I first started. When I first got started, I started to put on a timer. And also with my sister, it was easier for her to put on a timer. And I suggested to many people coming out that you can track your time. If you don't know where you've been at, you don't know where you're going to go. So for me, if I know that my last retightening took at least, 3 hours or maybe 3 hours and a half, each time that you do a retie, you're not going to necessarily focus on time. It's really the consistency of retightening each individual lock. But it is also to make sure timing yourself to get better in small increments. So meaning, if you are taking 3 hours and 30 minutes to retighten the hair or a head, the next client you do, you want to take you 3 hours and maybe 25 minutes. Okay, because I like to be realistically. And every time that you do it, you should increase in time as long as the lock sizes and the amounts of locks are the same. So these are things that I would definitely say that you would want to add inside of your journey. just to make sure that you are watching out for time. Another thing is trying not to make sure, like, not doing a lot of breaks. Like, I find that some people do a lot of breaks, and a lot of people like to talk. And I feel like talking is gonna be your biggest roadblock because most people, when you start to talk, guess what you stop doing? You stop moving your hands. Like me, I've been moving my hands since we got started because I'm working, and I've trained my brain to know that. So for you, start, it's best that you don't really talk at all if you're trying to increase on time. Other than speaking to the client, making sure the client is comfortable, doing a little bit of small talk at the beginning. After that, though, you really should be focusing in on doing a great job, make sure that your speed is up to date. Or if you find yourself that you need to talk, just make sure that your hands are moving while you are talking. Because inside the shop, I want to say when I had people come to me and they're looking to improve their speed, that was the biggest complaint. I literally be working, I have to get up and look and be like, hey, move your hand. Hey, move your hand. And some of my girls know this, okay? Move your hands. Your hands stop moving, girl. Because sometimes when we talking, especially if you are a person hands to confirm what it is that you're talking about, or you very animated, you begin to stop talking and trying to visualize and show everybody else what you're talking about. And that can take off minutes, okay? And if you do that frequently, you'll wind up taking off 30 to 40 minutes off of a person's retime. So if you notice that you go to talking and your retire's done crept up on an extra little 30 minutes, that's most likely why. So you want to make sure that you watch your hands and making sure they are consistently flowing, okay? Consistently flowing. Another thing about the music is that I like when the music play, I actually try to go by the rhythm of the music, okay? Because to me, this allows you to flow more on and it's a rhythm, you know what I mean? So it allows you to not really necessarily even pay attention to what it is that you're doing. Because when I notice that some people work, they actually are thinking about every point in position prior to them starting versus allowing it to naturally flow and knowing where the positions are. Okay. So, with that stated, those are things to be mindful of, and the music will kind of help you be a little bit more centered and actually allow you to concentrate more so just on the song and the beat versus you concentrating on which entry point you need to take. It just becomes a little bit more. So, that's something for you to think about when you are working. Another thing, make sure that you do all of your bathroom breaks and drink breaks or majority of them before you start to work, and minimize how much water intake you do and why, and try to, get you a bottle down on the in between. I'm not saying be unhealthy, but what I'm saying is if you're drinking 2 gallons of water or a gallon of water while you're working, you're going to have to go empty your bladder. You wind up doing that more frequently. So it's best to like hydrate on the in betweens or lightly hydrate while working, so that you can minimize the bathroom breaks. Okay, you guys, that will definitely help dramatically, okay, with the speed. I also have one more trick, but that one is going to take a little bit of time for you to understand because it's a specific way that you hold your, not necessarily hold your tool, but the way that you hold the lock, okay, to make it grip your bit easy, okay? So I definitely want to make sure that I do a specific video to go over that. But I did want to at least get you started with a few pointers, just to kind of get you started. And just so that you can start actually recording yourself as far as how long it does take for you. And see just with those small techniques if you see some type of improvement, okay? Another thing is making sure that you have all of your supplies to work in very close proximity. You don't want to be moving and going years yonder to go get the scissors. Or when I say that years yonder, I just mean you don't want to have to walk everywhere, like from one place to another, this cabinet to that cabinet. When I get started, I have a setup of just which is clean, and I have all of my clean utensils on there I may possibly need. And then also too as well, I also have like stuff that I may not need, but I may, use like a crochet hook or a few extra clips. And before I start, I put a rubber bands or the rubber bands there just in case I need a few extra rubber bands. I always put more than what's anticipated to be used. So if I use 5 sections or 10 sections, put an extra 4 rubber bands available just so that I'm not running all over the place or stopping while I'm working to do these things. One thing when I first started, I used to lose my tool a lot. So if you are a person that you will fall and drop and you may need to go rinse it off, you may want to go invest in something to wrap around your arm so that if the tool falls, it doesn't fall on the floor and you don't have to go stop and then cleanse, okay, while working. Because if it falls a few times, that could be, almost 10 to 15 minutes. Now, if we add up all these 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes over here and the 30 minutes over there, you might be just adding in the hour of just talking, dropping a tool. You know what I'm saying? It's just not being all the way prepared. So those are the things that I thought about when getting started and I really concentrated on. Because when I first got started, yeah, I like to watch movies, but I didn't typically like home in on the movies and watch the movies with the clients. Also, if you're a braider, you might want to take some of these tips into consideration because sometimes I find, oh, on the phone too, let me say that if you are seasoned, you could do that. But if high season, baby, are you slow? You need not to be talking on the phone. You got to stay coherent to what the heck is going on in front of you, okay? And at the end of the day, if a person is paying you for this, you want to make sure that you're getting them in and out at a reasonable amount of time. Most people do not want to spend their whole entire day inside of a shopping salon. It's okay to start with sometimes, but at the end of it, you should be wanting to do self improvement as you go along to make sure that you're into a point to where you're in normal hours. You don't have to be fast, but it has to be something that you're actively working on to make sure that you're getting better, best customer experience. And to me, the most important thing is the quality of the work. And then after that, the speed will take into place. So again, make sure that you're doing it the accurate way and learn how to do it properly first. Apply these techniques. So that's, a little music on, and that is minimal talking, and I also too as well try not to be on the phone because every time you stop to answer that phone, you're taking minutes off. You have to start thinking like that in minutes and seconds. And it may not seem like a lot, but when you're retightening three, four, 500 locks, that becomes a lot. Or even doing three, four, 500 braids, that becomes a lot that you have to stop and do something else. You know what I mean? So that's just something for you to consider. Also, too, as well, I try to have me a playlist before I begin, or at least like a genre that I'm listening to that won't have me to stop and change the music. And again, that's also why I don't try to do movies because with movies, I find that with each client, you have to spend at least 10 minutes trying to find the movie. So all of these things really do wind up coming down on how long it takes you to get situated and takes you to get started, takes you to get prepped. And while you're in there and working, the things and practices that you're doing that take up time, so you have to be mindful because this is paid. So start there. Start timing yourself, you know what I mean? And write down those times so that you can analyze. And after each retightment, really ask yourself, look at the work. Do you like it? You know what I'm saying? Was it clean? Really pay attention to detail while you were working. Did you groom as you go? And then really analyze, like, was this the amount of time that you spent on the hair? Was it appropriate? You know what I mean? Like, did you do any improvements during this? And if you didn't, analyze what could have happened. Was it because you'd worked on people here that doesn't have a lot of maintenance, or do maintenance take you time? These are the things that you have to question yourself and get good at so get better at analyzing how long it's gonna take you. I could look at a client and kind of estimate, and really I overestimate of how much time that may be needed to fix that client's hair. But for the most part, I kind of can pinpoint each section of how long it's going to take me to finish. So it is really good when you can know yourself to that point to where your work is still going to be great and it's still not going to have any type of compromise, but the time that it takes for you to achieve that gets shorter. Okay. So again, put you on a little watch, baby, time yourself, record yourself, and then blog on each one, what you could have did better, things that you felt like delayed on that time, and be honest. Because that's one thing I think that sometimes we don't like to do. But sometimes when you're honest with yourself, you're able to horn in or hone in on the improvements a little bit better because you're not lying. You're not trying to come up, feel it, or feel like, figure out, oh, it was too much. It might have been the same, amount of hair last time, but what you didn't take into account is that the kids came in 5 times. You know what I'm saying? And you was chit chat with them, giving them instruction, and you had to do homework. You might want to schedule your class, prior to the kids coming home. You know what I mean? Or get your kids situated before you get started. These are the small things that you want to pull in and home in on. You know what I mean? Like for me, sometimes I get a lot of calls. It's best that in between my clients, I may take my time to adjust my schedule, return back any calls if I missed any or anything like that. Those are the things that I would do, you know what I mean, to improve on things that I improve on. And everyone is different. I'm not there, so I can't see exactly what practices is or what they are. But what I can tell you is that if you give yourself an honest assessment on things that you could do better, like a hair journal, then I feel like you'll be able to identify based off of some of these things that I'm giving you, some things that you could do a little bit better and where you can do better at. Okay. And don't like take it to the end of the world. Like I'm right now. Some people will go to people and be loyal based off the customer service, the experience that they receive. And sometimes, maybe some people do like to talk. And that's one thing too as well that you might need to write down. Because how quiet you are sometimes, guess what? Your client may talk. So I used to have to learn how to still my hands as I'm talking. Like you've seen me pause a few times and look at the camera, and stop moving my hands so that I could put a little bit of what it is that I'm saying. But other than that, you really have to really be mindful of yourself when you are working for yourself, okay? Because it's easy to get thrown off track, okay? And it's easy to be complacent and okay where you are. So when you want to learn how to do better, these are things that you do to get better. And analyzing yourself and knowing your best practices does come into play, okay? All right. I hope that guys, I'll be coming back with another video too of me getting started into the sister lock world and how this journey has been for me. So I will do my next video more so, and if you guys find any other topics, let me know. Most likely on my online academy, BNL Hair Academy. .org. I'll be going over there to do the video to where you can see the loop method. That's a little bit easier to lock so that you can have it in position to get hooked on. So I will show you guys that. But again, do not pressure yourself. You are doing great. And this right here is a skill, this is a craft. That means this is something that we have to how to do. That means that it's not going to just come just because, you know, you want it to come, and because you went into the class, it's going to come with repetition. So another thing that I'm going to say is that when you first get started or while you're working, maybe some people shy away for some of the most not ragged, I hate to say ragged, but unkept, unmaintened hairs out there, because they will overcharge or look at it and be like, oh, I can't do that. That's too much work, or get discouraged. At the beginning, y'all, that's all I really took is people who hair was a hot mess. Why? Because I wanted to be working for 8 hours straight. Because the longer you work, right, doing the same repetitive motion, that it becomes, okay? And that's what the craft and the skill set that you are learning. So with that being stated, you want to make sure that you are doing hair every single day. And sometimes you have to give back in order for you to be able to do this, okay? Like maybe, let's say if you ain't got no retightness, you're not gonna be like get faster if you only retightening once a week. Maybe if you have the availability, which you may do the 4 other days to do retightness, maybe you need to sit doing retightness, dropping down the price of doing maintenance work, dropping down this just so that you can have a consistent client in your chair and you are working on your skill because the money is not important at the beginning, it is just able to practice the skill. Okay. The more that you're able to practice, the better you will become. The more you will be able to analyze yourself, critique yourself, and practice to see if what you came up with is correct, then auto speed will increase by something, right? And if it does, what was that attributed to? But you can't come to those type of analysis without having a subject matter. So meaning without being able to work. So they get to work. Whether you get on a mannequin and every week you complete a mannequin. Like if your job is to get better with establishments, then that's what you do. You do an establishment every week. You start a mannequin. take that thing out if you got to and redo it. I don't care how you get it done. Even if they offer a free establishment on somebody and they just keep the upkeep, at the end of the day, it'll put you in the opportunity and position so that you have some work to do. And that, okay? So those are the things that I want to make sure that we point out. If your goal is to get faster for retires on the days that you don't got clients, if you don't want to offer no discounts, baby, to get somebody in your chair, then guess what you need to do? You need to establish a head, make that head to where you start the rotations about 4 inches from the scalp or the root. And then what you do is with this much looseness all over the entire established head of the mannequin, you go through and you retighten every day. Every day you do a small section. You know, when you go to class with home office, you have homework. I remember the first day I went, or maybe the second day, they was telling you to do like 100 locks. You know, and that's what getting started off on the second day of class. So what you is that you have to get in it and you have to get started. A lot of people think that they're going to get better just for doing 1 to 2 rotations on a mannequin. No, you need to be doing that for at least an hour to 2 hours a day minimum. Minimum. So I just want to make sure that I come and I share the truth and I want to give you all honesty, you know, and don't think improvement of 25 minutes is going to be overnight. You be consistent and you stay determined, and this is what you do all day, every day, and you shall get fast, okay? You shall get better with time. And never compare yourself with anyone else because everybody is going to learn in their own time. Know that it is the amount of time and work that you put into your craft on how better you're going to become, okay? Y'all be safe and just let them know you heard it from Be Natural Locks first. Y'all be safe and enjoy y'all evening on all platforms. If you need any products, make sure that y'all check out benaturallocks.com. And if y'all looking for anything to change y'all lives, I would definitely say make sure y'all head on over to sisterlocks.com and grab that certification because it is worth it.